The deep silence of space surrounded the damaged ship as it drifted slowly above the broken edge of a dying battlefield. Sparks flickered from torn metal. Smoke curled inside the shattered cockpit. Commander Rylan lay strapped in his seat, his vision blurry, his body weak. He tasted blood on his lips and felt the cold air leaking through the cracks. For a moment he thought he was dreaming, but then he remembered everything: the flash, the explosion, the screams of his crew. All of it happened so fast. 1 second they were answering a peace call from the Galactic Council, and the next, their fleet was burning. Rylan forced his hand to move and reached for the control panel. His fingers trembled as he touched the emergency beacon. It blinked red. No connection, no response. It was as if the universe had turned its back on him. He swallowed and whispered to himself, "Why? Why did the Council do this? Why betray us?" His voice cracked, but there was no one left to hear him. His ship floated above a blue ocean world where fragments of destroyed vessels fell like metal rain. Rylan looked out through the cracked windshield, watching pieces of Earth's fleet sink into the waves below. These were not just machines. These ships carried people, brave men and women who believed they were coming to negotiate peace. Instead, they walked into a trap. The Council had planned everything. They had sent a false message, pretending they wanted a treaty. They had waited for Earth's ships to lower their shields. Then they attacked without warning. Rylan remembered the moment he saw the Council's war cruisers open fire. Bright beams cut through the darkness. Earth ships exploded in seconds. His captain shouted orders. His pilots tried to escape. Nothing worked. The enemy was everywhere. Rylan felt the guilt tighten in his chest, knowing he survived only because debris had hit him and knocked him unconscious before the final blast. His crew, his friends, his brothers in arms, they were all gone. The console beside him beeped weakly. A damaged screen flickered on, showing a half-corrupted video file. Rylan tapped it. The image of a Council Admiral, apparelled eyes.com voice. No mercy at all. The Admiral was speaking to someone off-screen. Rylan leaned closer. "Earth must fall," the Admiral said. "They grow too strong. If we do not break them now, they will rise above all of us." Rylan's heart sank. He played the message again and again. It was clear. There was no misunderstanding. The Council never wanted peace. They had feared Earth's growing power. They wanted to erase humanity before humanity became a threat. Rylan knew he had to send this information home. He struggled to sit up, ignoring the pain shooting through his body. He connected the file to the emergency transmitter and tried to send it. The system coughed, sparked, and then slowly began to send the message. Rylan watched the tiny percentage bar climb. 10%, 20, 40. It felt like time had slowed. Outside, another explosion lit up the sky. The Council was destroying the last surviving Earth ships. Rylan felt tears in his eyes, but he wiped them quickly. Crying would not bring anyone back. Crying would not protect Earth. Only the truth could do that. The message finally reached 100% and vanished into the communication network. Rylan let out a shaky breath. "Please, reach them," he whispered. "Please." His strength faded, and darkness pulled him down again. Hours later, far away on Earth, the leaders received the message. They watched the Council Admiral's recording with disbelief and growing fury. They saw the destroyed fleet. They heard Rylan's weak voice describing the ambush. They listened to the last words of dying soldiers begging Earth to survive. The people of Earth gathered in silence around their screens. Mothers cried for sons who never returned. Fathers clenched their fists. Children asked questions that no one could answer. Everyone felt the same burning pain. Everyone felt the same heavy question in their hearts. Why were they attacked? Why were they betrayed? What had humanity done to deserve such cruelty? In the command chamber, senior generals stood around a long table. The room felt heavy with anger. No one spoke until General Arik, an old man with silver hair and tired eyes, slowly rose from his seat. He had seen wars before, but none hurt him like this one. He looked at the others, then at the large screen showing Rylan's final transmission. "We offered peace," Arik said quietly. "They answered with fire." The room stayed silent. "They killed our people," he continued. "They destroyed our fleet. Now they will come for our world." Someone whispered, "What do we do now?" General Arik took a deep breath. "We do what we must. Prepare Project Iron Arm." Every officer froze. That name had not been spoken in decades. It was a secret planet's last resort weapon. Arik's voice hardened. "Prepare the Armada. If the Council wants war." He paused, his eyes burning with determination. "Then humanity will show them what true strength looks like." Far away in the medical ship, Rylan opened his eyes again. He did not know the message had reached Earth. He did not know millions had seen the truth. He only knew one thing. The betrayal had awakened something inside humanity, something powerful, something unstoppable, and the galaxy would soon feel it. The message from Commander Rylan spread across Earth like wildfire. Every news screen, every military channel, every civilian broadcast showed the same shocking truth. The Galactic Council had never wanted peace. They had tricked Earth, ambushed the fleet, and killed thousands of innocent soldiers who believed they were flying toward hope. The anger of the people grew stronger each hour. Cities fell silent as families gathered to listen to Earth's leaders discuss what must be done. It felt like the entire planet was holding its breath in the Earth Defense Headquarters. The atmosphere was heavy. Officers walked quickly through hallways, whispering with fear and frustration. Inside the main chamber, maps of space glowed bright, showing enemy movements around Earth's region. Everyone knew the Council would not stop. They had attacked once. They could attack again, this time targeting civilians, not soldiers. General Arik stood at the center of the room, his hands resting on the metal table. He stared at the screen showing the Council Admiral's words that had destroyed any trust humanity once had. Arik was not a man who made quick decisions. He always believed in peace first, negotiation second, and war only as a last choice. But this time was different. The betrayal had crossed a line. He looked at the officers gathered around him. Earth must not be caught unprepared again, he said in a steady voice. We gave them trust. They gave us fire. Now we give them something else, strength. A young officer named Mara stepped forward. She was known for her sharp mind and calm nature, but now her voice trembled slightly. Sir, does this mean we activate Project Iron Arm? Arik nodded slowly. Yes, it is the only way. Every officer shared the same shocked expression. Project Iron Arm was Earth's greatest secret and enormous war plan created decades ago when Earth first joined the Galactic Council. At that time, some feared the Council might someday turn against humanity, so they prepared the Armada, a hidden fleet built in secure underground hangars deep beneath the oceans and mountains. The plan was simple. If Earth ever faced total destruction, the Armada would rise. General Arik pressed his palm on the security panel. A hidden screen slid open, showing rows and rows of massive ships, untouched and waiting. Their metal bodies shined like silent giants, ready to awaken. The officers watched in awe. These ships were built for a moment like this, Arik said. A moment when survival is not a choice, it is a duty. Meanwhile, far away, Commander Rylan lay in the medical unit of a rescue vessel, drifting between sleep and pain. His body was recovering slowly, but his heart carried scars deeper than any wound. Images of the attack replayed in his mind again and again, the sudden fire, the panicked voices of his crew, the explosion that threw him into darkness. He tried to rest, but nightmares followed him. A soft beep sounded, and a doctor entered his room. She smiled kindly. You're awake again. That's good. Your body is healing. Rylan swallowed. How many survived? The doctor hesitated. That pause told Rylan everything before she spoke. Very few. You might be the only one from your fleet. Rylan closed his eyes, forcing the pain down. Earth knows. Right. About the betrayal. Yes, she said. Your message reached them. It changed everything. Her words brought a small spark of relief to Rylan's heart. At least he had done one thing right. His people knew the truth now. Back on Earth, engineers and technicians rushed to activate the giant hangars. Alarms echoed through the underground bases as lights turned on for the first time in years. Engines hummed. Metal doors slid open. One by one, the massive warships prepared to rise from their hidden shelters dot above the Pacific Ocean. A huge section of water began bubbling, as if something ancient was waking from beneath. Birds flew away in panic. Then, with a deep metallic roar, the first Armada ship broke through the surface. Water splashed everywhere as the massive cruiser emerged, shining under the sun like a steel leviathan. People watching from nearby coastlines gasped in shock. More ships followed. 10, 20, 50. The message from Commander Rylan spread across Earth like wildfire. Every news screen, every military channel, every civilian broadcast showed the same shocking truth. The Galactic Council had never wanted peace. They had tricked Earth, ambushed the fleet, and killed thousands of innocent soldiers who believed they were flying toward hope. The anger of the people grew stronger each hour. Cities fell silent as families gathered to listen to Earth's leaders discuss what must be done. It felt like the entire planet was holding its breath. In the Earth Defense Headquarters, the atmosphere was heavy. Officers walked quickly through hallways, whispering with fear and frustration. Inside the main chamber, maps of space glowed bright, showing enemy movements around Earth's region. Everyone knew the Council would not stop. They had attacked once. They could attack again, this time targeting civilians, not soldiers. General Arik stood at the center of the room, his hands resting on the metal table. He stared at the screen showing the Council Admiral's words that had destroyed any trust humanity once had. Arik was not a man who made quick decisions. He always believed in peace first, negotiation second, and war only as a last choice. But this time was different. The betrayal had crossed a line. He looked at the officers gathered around him. Earth must not be caught unprepared again, he said in a steady voice. We gave them trust. They gave us fire. Now we give them something else, strength. A young officer named Mara stepped forward. She was known for her sharp mind and calm nature, but now her voice trembled slightly. Sir, does this mean we activate Project Iron Arm? Arik nodded slowly. Yes, it is the only way. Every officer shared the same shocked expression. Project Iron Arm was Earth's greatest secret and enormous war plan created decades ago when Earth first joined the Galactic Council. At that time, some feared the Council might someday turn against humanity, so they prepared the Armada, a hidden fleet built in secure underground hangars deep beneath the oceans and mountains. The plan was simple. If Earth ever faced total destruction, the Armada would rise. General Arik pressed his palm on the security panel. A hidden screen slid open, showing rows and rows of massive ships, untouched and waiting. Their metal bodies shined like silent giants ready to awaken. The officers watched in awe. These ships were built for a moment like this, Arik said. A moment when survival is not a choice, it is a duty. Meanwhile, far away, Commander Rylan lay in the medical unit of a rescue vessel, drifting between sleep and pain. His body was recovering slowly, but his heart carried scars deeper than any wound. Images of the attack replayed in his mind again and again: the sudden fire, the panicked voices of his crew, the explosion that threw him into darkness. He tried to rest, but nightmares followed him. A soft beep sounded, and a doctor entered his room. She smiled kindly. "You're awake again. That's good. Your body is healing." Rylan swallowed. "How many survived?" The doctor hesitated. That pause told Rylan everything before she spoke. "Very few. You might be the only one from your fleet." Rylan closed his eyes, forcing the pain down. "Earth knows, right? About the betrayal." "Yes," she said. "Your message reached them. It changed everything." Her words brought a small spark of relief to Rylan's heart. At least he had done one thing right. His people knew the truth now. Back on Earth, engineers and technicians rushed to activate the giant hangars. Alarms echoed through the underground bases as lights turned on for the first time in years. Engines hummed. Metal doors slid open. One by one, the massive warships prepared to rise from their hidden shelters. Above the Pacific Ocean, a huge section of water began bubbling, as if something ancient was waking from beneath. Birds flew away in panic. Then, with a deep metallic roar, the first Armada ship broke through the surface. Water splashed everywhere as the massive cruiser emerged, shining under the sun like a steel leviathan. People watching from nearby coastlines gasped in shock. More ships followed. 10, 20, 50. Earth's hidden strength revealed itself in the light of day. Across the world, people gathered to watch. Some cried with hope. Some prayed. Some clenched their fists, feeling courage rise inside them. For the first time since the betrayal, Earth did not feel weak. It felt powerful, united, and determined. In the council chambers, light years away, panic filled the air. The council members stared at reports showing Earth's armada rising. They expected humanity to break, to fall to their knees, to beg for mercy. Instead, Earth had chosen to stand tall. "What is this?" one council member shouted. "We thought their fleet was destroyed." "It was only a fraction," another replied nervously. "Earth has been hiding weapons, far stronger than we imagined." A third member slammed his fist on the table. "Fools, we should have finished them while we had the chance." The High Chancellor, an older alien with gray skin and cold eyes, stayed silent. He watched the screen, his expression darkening. "Earth is responding. They will not forgive us. We should prepare for retaliation." "But Chancellor," someone whispered, "can we defeat them now?" The Chancellor's long fingers tapped the table slowly. "We will try." Back on Earth, General Arik stood on the bridge of the lead ship, watching the Armada rise into the sky. The engines glowed bright blue. The metal gleamed like fire. This was not an army of fear. This was an army of justice. Arik whispered to himself, "Commander Rylan, your people will not die in vain." As the Armada prepared to leave orbit, an announcement echoed through every ship. Earth's Armada will now begin Operation Dawnfall. Humanity was done being the victim. The galaxy was about to learn what happens when Earth is betrayed. The Galactic Council chamber was normally a place of calm debate, polished speeches, and perfect order, but now it was filled with fear. The holographic screens floating around the room showed the same shocking image: Earth's hidden armada rising from the oceans and launching into space. Dozens of enormous war cruisers, carriers, and destroyers glowed with power. Smaller fighters swarmed around them like steel birds preparing for battle. It looked nothing like the weak, peaceful world the Council had always imagined. It looked like a sleeping giant finally waking. Council members whispered in panic. Some argued, some blamed each other, some simply stared at the screens with wide, frightened eyes. They had expected Earth to collapse after the ambush. They had expected humanity to break, beg, and surrender. Instead, Earth stood stronger than ever. High Chancellor Vorin, the leader of the Council, raised his hand to silence them. His long gray fingers trembled slightly, though he tried to hide it. "Calm yourselves," he said in a cold voice. "Fear will not solve this." A tall reptilian councillor hissed softly. "Chancellor, this is not a small problem. Earth has a fleet we did not know existed. Their ships are enormous," another councillor added, "and they are coming toward our border systems. Reports say they are moving fast." The Chancellor's jaw tightened. "We attacked them first. They are responding." The room grew tense at those words. The betrayal was no accident. All of them were part of it. All of them had agreed to destroy Earth before Earth became too strong. But none of them expected humans to survive, let alone strike back with such power. A younger council member, shaking with fear, asked, What if they win? What if Earth destroys us?" The Chancellor turned his icy eyes on him. "Then we will fight harder." Humanity must not control the galaxy. They are unpredictable, emotional, and dangerous. But Chancellor, the young member whispered, so are we. While fear tightened around the council, far away on Earth's lead cruiser, Commander Rylan opened his eyes for the first time since being transferred to the Armada. His room was brighter, cleaner, and more advanced than the medical ship. A soft humming sound filled the air, a sound he recognized immediately. The engines of a war cruiser. He sat up slowly, his body still sore. A nurse walked in, surprised to see him awake. Commander Rylan, she said warmly, you're safe. You're aboard the Astra Prime, the flagship of Earth's Armada. Rylan blinked. The Armada. It's real. It's very real, she answered with a smile. General Arak is waiting for you. Rylan dressed and walked down the bright hallway, feeling his strength returning with every step. Soldiers saluted him as he passed. It felt strange he had lost his fleet, yet now he was being treated like a symbol of survival. When he entered the command bridge, the doors slid open smoothly, revealing a massive room filled with offices, screens, and maps of the galaxy. General Arak stood at the center, staring at a hologram of council space. He turned when he saw Rylan and gave a rare smile. Commander, you survived, and your message changed everything. Rylan bowed his head. Sir, I'm sorry I couldn't save my crew. Arak placed a heavy hand on his shoulder. You saved Earth. That is more than enough. Rylan looked at the hologram showing their fleet's path. Are we going to attack the council? Arak nodded. They came to destroy us. We cannot wait for their next strike. We will defend our home by taking the fight to them. Rylan felt something heavy and burning in his chest, revenge, mixed with pain, mixed with duty. Then I am ready. Put me where you need me. Arak studied him for a moment, then pointed toward a group of officers. You will lead a tactical unit. Your experience in the council ambush gives you understanding no one else has. Rylan agreed without hesitation. Before Rylan could respond, the door opened, and General Arak entered the room. His face was serious, darker than Rylan had ever seen. He motioned for Rylan to follow him. They walked into the strategy room where the holographic map of the galaxy flickered with new red markers. Arak tapped the screen. Our scouts have confirmed it. The officer is telling the truth. The council is preparing a weapon strong enough to burn a planet to ash. Rylan stared at the hollow blue image of Earth on the screen. His chest tightened. My family, everyone, they're in danger. Arak placed a hand on his shoulder. Everyone's family is in danger. That is why we must act fast. Rylan took a deep breath, steadying his emotions. What is the plan? Arak zoomed into the council's territory. A glowing red symbol appeared. This is the location of their weapon. Heavily guarded, protected by shield arrays, battlecruisers, and orbital mines. Only a small team could get inside unnoticed. Rylan understood immediately. You want infiltration? Yes, Arak said. A direct attack would take too long. Earth won't survive if we wait. Rylan nodded. I'll lead the mission. Arak raised an eyebrow. You've been through trauma. You're still recovering. I know, Rylan replied softly, but I have seen the council's cruelty. I know how they think, and I owe this to my crew. Arak looked at him quietly for a long moment, then nodded. Very well. Prepare your team. While Rylan gathered his squad, Mara Halen and a few elite soldiers, news of the council's secret weapons spread across the Armada. Fear and anger mixed together, but it only strengthened their resolve. No one questioned the mission. Everyone understood. If Earth fell, nothing else mattered. Meanwhile, in the council's central chamber, High Chancellor Vorin received reports of the outpost's destruction. He was furious. His cold eyes scanned the data. Earth rescued our people, he said slowly. They showed mercy. A counselor nodded nervously. Yes. They avoided civilian deaths. Vorin's face twisted in irritation. Humans think mercy is strength. But in war, mercy is weakness. They will learn. Another counselor stepped forward. Chancellor, should we activate the weapon? Vorin clasped his hands behind his back. Yes, begin the final sequence. Earth will be gone before their armada can turn around. The counselor bowed and rushed away. Vorin stared out of the wide glass window at the stars and whispered to himself. The galaxy belongs to us, not to humans. Back on the Astra Prime, Rylan's team gathered in the briefing room. Mara pulled up a 3D map of the council's weapon facility, a massive structure hidden inside a hollowed-out moon. It looked like a giant heart made of metal, pulsing with energy. This moon is surrounded by detection towers, Mara explained, and the entrance is sealed behind a security barrier. We need to break in quietly. Halen, a heavy-built soldier with a deep voice, crossed his arms. Quiet isn't exactly my specialty. Rylan smirked slightly. Then today, Halen, it becomes your specialty. The team laughed softly, the tension reducing for a moment. Mara zoomed in on the internal section. The weapon core is here. If we plant explosive charges on the main conduits, we can disable the entire weapon. And the council? Rylan asked. They will do anything to stop us, she replied. Even kill their own guards. Rylan nodded firmly. Then we do not stop. Not until the weapon is destroyed. Arak entered the room. You leave in 1 hour. Rylan saluted him. We won't fail. I know, Arak said, his voice thick with pride and worry. But be careful. The future of Earth is in your hands. As Rylan walked toward the hangar, he looked out at the stars, imagining his home planet far away, his people, his memories, everything he loved. He clenched his fist. "We're coming for you, Earth," he whispered. "Hold on." The infiltration mission was about to begin, and time was running out. The infiltration ship, the Silent Wing, moved through space like a shadow. Its dark surface absorbed light, making it almost invisible. Inside, Rylan and his team sat in silence, checking their gear, tightening straps, and loading energy cells. Everyone felt the weight of the mission. If they failed, Earth would vanish forever. Mara watched the star map on the small screen in front of her. "We are entering Council territory," she whispered. "Stealth field is stable." Rylan nodded, but his mind was far away, thinking of Earth, thinking of the Council's betrayal, and the giant planet killer they were heading toward. He looked at his team. "Remember," he said quietly, "we only get one chance. If the Council detects us, the mission ends before it starts." Halen cracked his knuckles. "Don't worry, Commander. I won't start any loud fights until you ask." A small smile touched Rylan's face. Their joking helped keep fear from taking over. As the Silent Wing approached the hollow moon, the massive shape of the Council's weapon facility came into view. It looked like a giant metal spider wrapped around the moon's core, its long structures glowing with blue energy. It pulsed, almost alive. Mara zoomed in the image. "There, a maintenance tunnel. It's not guarded heavily. We slip in through that." The ship drifted closer. Inside the Council facility, alarms were silent. Guards walked calmly along the platforms, unaware that danger was already approaching. Deep within the structure, technicians monitored the weapon's energy buildup. They spoke softly, hands moving over glowing panels. "The final charge will complete in 6 hours," one technician said. A Council commander nodded. "Good. The High Chancellor wants the firing sequence ready by then." Earth had 6 hours left back in the Silent Wing. Rylan checked his wrist device. "We land in 60 seconds. Once inside, stay low and stay quiet." The ship latched onto the moon's surface with a soft click. The hatch opened, releasing a faint hiss of air. Rylan stepped out first, landing on cold metal. The tunnel entrance was only 20 meters away. The team moved fast but silent. Their boots made no sound. Their breaths were steady. Every corner felt dangerous. Every shadow felt like an enemy. Inside the maintenance tunnel, lights flickered, pipes hummed, the air smelled of burning metal. Mara pulled out a small device and attached it to a control panel. "I'm hacking the internal map," she whispered. "Just give me her." Device beeped suddenly. Rylan stiffened. "What happened?" "The system. It's strange." Mara frowned. "Someone recently accessed this tunnel from the inside. Someone who wasn't supposed to." Halen raised an eyebrow. "Could be a trap or a survivor," Rylan said. "Stay alert." They moved deeper, following the maze of metallic hallways. The deeper they went, the louder the hum of the weapon became. It vibrated through the walls, through their boots, through their bones. The corridor opened into a wide chamber filled with pipes and bright blue energy conduits. At the center, sitting beside a large vent, was a small figure wearing a technician's uniform. He looked young, barely 20, eyes wide with fear. When he saw the humans, he raised his hands quickly. "Please don't shoot." Rylan signaled his team to lower their weapons, but only slightly. "Who are you?" he asked. The young technician swallowed hard. "My name is Elion. I work here, but I don't support the Council. They forced me." Rylan studied him carefully. "Why are you here?" "I was hiding," Elion whispered. "The Council is doing something terrible. I can help you. I know the weapon's layout." Mara exchanged a cautious look with Rylan. "He could be lying. Or he's our only chance to save Earth," Rylan replied softly. Elion looked at them with desperate eyes. "Please, the Council will kill everyone. I don't want that." After a long moment, Rylan nodded. "All right, but if you try anything, I won't," Elion said quickly. "Come, I'll show you a safer way to the core." They followed him through a hidden side passage. It was narrow and dark, almost forgotten by the facility. The sounds grew louder, the weapon's heartbeat felt closer. Elion finally stopped at a round metal door. "This leads to the service bridge above the core. No guards watch this area because it's too hot for shifts." Rylan checked his thermal sensor. "He's right, but we have insulation suits." Halen smirked. "Heat won't stop us." They opened the door and stepped into a long bridge suspended over a massive glowing chamber. The weapon's core pulsed below, shining like a star trapped inside metal claws. Mara whispered, "This thing, it could destroy 10 planets. Which is why we end it today," Rylan said. They crossed the bridge carefully. Below them, energy surged and twisted like living fire. The heat hit their suits, but they pushed forward. Suddenly, a loud beep echoed from Mara's scanner. Commander Guard patrol approaching from the other side. Rylan's heart jumped. "Positions, stay hidden." They ducked behind large metal coils jutting from the walls. Footsteps echoed as a squad of Council soldiers walked onto the bridge, talking casually, unaware of the humans nearby. Rylan looked at his team, then at the explosive charges inside Halen's bag. They were so close. One wrong move and the mission would fail. The Council soldiers stopped only a few meters away. One soldier turned suddenly, staring toward the coils. Mara held her breath. Halen tightened his grip. Ryland slowly reached for his weapon. The soldier stepped closer, narrowing his eyes. And then something unexpected happened. Elion stood up from behind the coil, revealing himself. The soldiers gasped. Elion. One of them said, "What are you doing here?" Elion's voice shook. "I was checking the heat regulators." Ryland stared, shocked by the boy's bravery. As Earth's armada continued moving through space, Council scouts hid behind asteroids, watching every ship carefully. One scout ship sent a report back to the Council headquarters. Earth's ships are far more advanced than expected. Their power signatures are off the charts. Their technology seems upgraded beyond anything we've seen from them before. When the report reached the Council chamber, panic returned. "How did Earth build all this?" One member shouted. "They must have been planning for years. We cannot face that." Another cried. The Chancellor slammed his hand on the table. "Silence. Earth thinks they can scare us. We will show them they are wrong." But deep in his eyes, even he could not hide the truth. Earth's armada terrified him. Back on the Astra Prime, Ryland stood before a large window, looking into endless space. Stars glowed like silent witnesses. He felt the weight of responsibility pushing on his shoulders. He remembered the screams from his old ship, the faces of his fallen friends, and the bright explosion that took everything from him. A soft voice spoke beside him. It was Officer Mara, thinking about the past. Ryland nodded. "And the future? We can't lose again." Mara looked out at the fleet. "We won't. This time we control the battlefield." Ryland took a deep breath. "Then let's make sure the Council never betrays anyone again." Outside the cruiser's glass, the armada continued forward, an unstoppable wave of steel and fire moving through the stars. Every ship carried the same message, the same purpose, the same burning promise. The Council had betrayed humanity. Now humanity was coming for answers. Earth's armada moved through the dark space like a silent storm. Hundreds of ships flew in perfect formation, their engines glowing with blue fire. Inside each ship, soldiers prepared for their first strike against the Galactic Council, the same council that had betrayed them, killed their people, and tried to erase humanity from the galaxy. Now Earth was no longer the victim. Earth was the hunter. Commander Ryland stood on the bridge of the Astra Prime, watching the target appear on the main screen. It was a small Council outpost, placed near the edge of their territory. The outpost was surrounded by a shield, dozens of patrol ships, and a communication tower that connected directly to the Council's central command. Ryland knew destroying this station would send a message. Earth was done being silent. General Arik stood beside him, arms crossed. His face showed no fear, only determination. "This outpost is lightly defended," he said. "Perfect place for our first strike." Ryland nodded. "We take it out clean. No civilian deaths. No unnecessary destruction." Arik gave him a firm look. "That is why you are leading this mission. You understand the difference between revenge and justice." Ryland felt a tightness in his chest. Justice, that was all he wanted. Not cruelty, not chaos, just truth. The mission began. Fighter ships launched from the Astra Prime, streaking through space like flashing arrows. Ryland led one of the main strike groups. His hands rested calmly on the controls even though his heart raced. The Council had taken so much from him, his crew, his hope, his old life, but they had not taken his will. As Earth's fighters approached, the outpost activated alarms. Small Council ships swarmed toward them, firing bright lasers. Ryland rolled his ship to the side, avoiding a beam that passed inches from his cockpit. "Stay focused," he called to his squad. "Hit their engines, not their pilots. Disable, don't kill." His squad followed his command perfectly. Earth's ships moved with practiced precision, disabling many Council fighters without destroying them. Sparks flew as enemy ships lost control and drifted. Inside the outpost, panic spread quickly. Council officers shouted orders, their screens flashing red warnings. One officer yelled, "It's Earth. They're attacking." Another replied, voice trembling, "This is impossible. Earth should be weak after the ambush." But Earth was not weak. Earth was rising stronger than anyone had imagined. Ryland's ship broke through the enemy lines. He aimed directly at the outpost's shield generator. His hands moved fast, locking onto the target. Firing now. A bright missile streaked across the dark sky and hit the generator. The shield flickered, twisted, then shattered like glass. Earth's larger cruisers moved forward instantly. Armada units. General Arik called through the comms, "Target only weapons and defenses. Do not destroy the station. Repeat, do not destroy it." Earth wanted justice, not slaughter. The Council's defense cannons fired desperately, but they were no match for Earth's firepower. One by one, the cannons fell silent. Ryland guided his squad toward the communication tower. "Take it offline. The Council cannot call for reinforcements." His team precisely destroyed the tower's power core. Sparks exploded. Lights dimmed. The outpost was blind. Inside the station, officers scrambled, fear in their eyes. Without the tower, they were cut off from the Council, trapped, helpless. A heavy explosion shook the entire outpost as Earth's landing ships touched down. Ryland and a team of soldiers entered through the southern hatch. Smoke filled the halls. Rylan moved carefully, weapon ready but finger off the trigger. A group of council officers raised their hands in surrender immediately. Their leader, trembling, said, "We didn't know this was coming. Please, don't kill us." Rylan lowered his weapon slightly. "We are not here to kill civilians. We want the truth." The officer hesitated, then nodded quickly. "I can tell you something important." His eyes shifted nervously. "We were ordered to attack Earth. We were told Earth was planning a rebellion." Rylan's jaw clenched. "Lies. The Council had destroyed Earth's fleet using lies." "What else?" Rylan pressed. The officer swallowed hard. "There is a secret Council plan, a much bigger one. They want to eliminate Earth completely. They say humans cannot be trusted. They fear your growth." Rylan felt a cold wave rush through him. So the betrayal was only the beginning. The Council wanted Earth gone from the galaxy forever. Before the officer could continue, a deep rumbling shook the station. The lights flickered. Rylan's communicator beeped. Arek's voice came through urgently. "Commander, we detected a hidden bomb inside the station. The Council planted it in case their outpost ever fell." Rylan felt his pulse jump. "How long do we have?" "For minutes." Rylan looked around. Civilians and enemy officers were still inside. They were scared, confused, and trapped. "We're evacuating everyone," he said firmly. His soldiers hesitated. "Even the enemy, sir." "Yes, even them. We don't become monsters just because they did." They began rushing people toward Earth's transports. The outpost shook harder with every passing second. Rylan guided the last group toward the exit. The walls split. Fire burst from the ceiling. People screamed. He pushed 2 frightened alien children into the shuttle, then grabbed the officer who had given him the information. "Move." The door closed behind them just as the outpost exploded in a massive burst of fire and debris. When Rylan's shuttle returned to the Astra Prime, General Arek met him with a serious expression. "You saved everyone," Arek said softly. "You showed mercy." Rylan wiped sweat from his forehead. "If we become like the Council, then what are we fighting for?" Arek nodded slowly. "Good, because we just learned something important." He glanced at the captured officer. "The Council is planning something much bigger." Rylan felt a deep chill. This battle was only the first strike. The real fight was just beginning. The captured Council officer sat in a quiet room aboard the Astra Prime, his hands shaking as he drank a cup of water. 2 guards stood near the door, watching him closely. He was afraid. But he also seemed relieved, as if someone had finally given him the chance to speak the truth he had been hiding for years. Commander Rylan entered the room slowly, his expression calm but sharp. He pulled out a chair and sat across from the officer. "What is the Council planning?" Rylan asked, voice firm. "We know the betrayal wasn't your only attack. Tell us everything." The officer swallowed hard. His voice was trembling. "You must understand. Everything we did was because of fear. The Council believed humans would rise too fast. They believed your world would someday control the galaxy. They say it was written in an old prophecy." Rylan frowned. "A prophecy? That's why they killed thousands of our people." The officer nodded. "The Council thought humanity was dangerous, too emotional, too unpredictable. They believed the only safe future was a galaxy without Earth." Rylan felt anger burning inside him, but he forced himself to stay calm. "That does not explain the ambush. That does not excuse the lies." The officer took a deep breath. "The ambush was only the beginning. There is a larger plan, something the Council called Operation Purity. It is meant to erase Earth completely within 72 hours. Rylan stiffened. "Erase how?" "A weapon," the officer whispered. "A planet killer hidden inside Council territory. They have been building it secretly for decades. It will fire at Earth the moment they confirm your fleet is far from home." Rylan stood up quickly, shocked. "You're telling me they plan to destroy our planet while our armada is out here fighting?" "Yes," the officer said. "They will attack while Earth is alone." The soldier stepped closer, narrowing his eyes, and then something unexpected happened. Elion stood up from behind the coil, revealing himself. The soldiers gasped. "Elion," one of them said. "What are you doing here?" Elion's voice shook. "I was checking the heat regulators." Rylan stared, shocked by the boy's bravery. The lead soldier sighed. "Get back to your station. This area is restricted." "Yes, sir," Elion said, bowing quickly. The soldiers continued walking, disappearing into the far corridor. Rylan let out a long breath. Elion turned back to them, shaking but alive. "They think I'm still loyal. We must hurry. Earth doesn't have much time." Rylan stepped forward, determination burning in his eyes. "Then we finish this," he said. The core chamber awaited, and the fate of Earth hung by a thread. The service bridge shook slightly under their feet as they continued across it. The weapon's core pulsed brighter now, lighting the chamber with a frightening blue glow. It felt like standing above a newborn star, beautiful, deadly, and impossible to control. Rylan stared at it, feeling a chill run through his body. If the Council fired this thing, Earth would not survive even a second. Elion pointed to the far end of the bridge. "The control nexus is behind that door. If you reach it, you can plant the charges. But you must disable the coolant locks first, or the explosion won't spread." Mara nodded, already analyzing the structure. "We can do that from the inside. But once we start, the system will trigger alarms. Ryland stepped forward. We'll move fast. No alarms will stop us now. The door ahead was large and round, with warning signs glowing red across its edges. Elion placed his hand on a panel and entered a code. The door slowly opened, releasing a wave of heat and the deep hum of the core. Inside the room was massive, a circular hole built around the central engine that powered the planet kill. Thick energy conduits ran from the walls to the core, like veins feeding a monster. The air was heavy, hot, and vibrating with power. Halen whistled quietly. How does this not blow up on its own? Elion answered softly. It might, one day, but the Council doesn't care, as long as it destroys Earth first. Ryland motioned toward the conduits. Spread out, plant the charges on each main pipe. Mara, you and I handled the coolant system. The team moved fast. Halen knelt beside one of the pipes, attaching magnetic explosives with practiced precision. His hands were steady, his breathing calm. He had done this many times, but never for something that meant so much. Mara connected her device to a control terminal near the coolant locks. The screen displayed endless lines of alien programming. This system is complicated, she muttered. They built several safety layers. Can you break them? Rylan asked. She smiled slightly. Can I break them? Commander, please. While the team worked, Elion kept watch near the door. His hands trembled. The risk he had taken weighed heavily on him. If the Council discovered his betrayal, he would be executed without hesitation. But he stayed strong, reminding himself of the truth. He did not want innocent people to die. Suddenly, a soft beep echoed from Mara's device. Rylan turned. What's wrong? Mara's face paled. Someone else is accessing the coolant system from the central chamber. They're overriding my commands. Rylan felt his heart drop. The Council? No, Mara said slowly, her eyes widening. Someone's sabotaging us from the inside. They want the weapon protected. Elion gasped. It could be the Overseer. He monitors everything. As if summoned by their fear, the chamber's far doors slammed open with a loud metallic bang. A tall alien in a dark Council uniform stepped inside, flanked by 2 armored soldiers. His eyes glowed with authority and hatred. Elion whispered, "That's him, Overseer Draxus." Rylan raised his weapon instantly, and his team formed a protective line. Draxus walked forward confidently. "I knew the humans would eventually come crawling here," he said with a cold smile. "But I didn't expect you to bring one of our own with you." He glared at Elion, who stepped back in fear. "You disappoint me, boy," Draxus said. "After all the training, all the chances we gave you, this is how you repay us." Rylan stepped between Elion and Draxus. "He's not yours anymore." Draxus laughed quietly. "No, he's a traitor, just like all of you," Halen growled. "Let's end this." "Commander." The 2 armored soldiers raised their rifles, but Rylan shouted, "Don't shoot. The chamber will explode if you hit the conduits." Draxus smirked. "Exactly, which means none of you can fire, but we can." He lifted his arm, signaling his guards. Mara hissed, "We're trapped." Rylan looked around quickly, searching for a solution. The charges were almost ready. The coolant locks were nearly open. They just needed a few more seconds. But seconds were something they didn't have. Draxus lifted his weapon. "Any last words, human?" Before he could pull the trigger, Elion suddenly stepped forward. "Stop," he shouted. Everyone froze. Elion's voice shook, but he didn't back away. "You always said loyalty was everything, but you lie. You don't care about loyalty. You care about power." Draxus's eyes narrowed. "Move aside, boy." Elion didn't move. "No, not this time." Draxus raised his rifle at him, furious. But in that split second, when Draxus shifted his focus, Rylan saw his opening now. Rylan shouted. Halen threw a flash detonator across the room. It exploded with a blinding white light. The soldiers cried out, stunned. Draxus stumbled back, shielding his eyes. Rylan dashed forward, tackling the Overseer to the ground. They struggled fiercely. Draxus was strong, fueled by rage, but Rylan fought with something stronger, fear for his home, his people, his planet. Mara shouted from behind, "Coolant locks open, charges ready." Halen pulled Rylan back. "Commander, we have to run. It's going to blow." Rylan looked down at Draxus, who glared up with burning hatred. "Defeated but alive. This isn't over." Human, Draxus hissed. Rylan turned away. "For you, maybe, but Earth will live." He grabbed Elion's arm and pulled him along. The team sprinted out of the chamber as warning alarms roared across the facility. Red lights flashed. Heat skyrocketed. The core began to shake violently behind them. The weapon prepared to die, but they still had to escape the moon, and time was running out fast.